Why not? It's May the 4th, and we might as well. It's Star Wars Day. Not a lot to buy. I went to Target. They had an Obi-Wan 50th anniversary of Lucasfilm, and they had Leia in that with the buns. And I was like, I have a couple of Obi-Wans. Like, I think I have actually 3 Obi-Wans, and I have a ton of Leias, so I didn't buy them. I try not to buy doubles unless, I mean, I think I could go back tomorrow and pick them up. All right, if they're still there. Anyway, you know, I was listening to that song by Triumph called Magic Power, and I was thinking about when I was a little girl, little, okay, tiny person. And I remember when The Godfather came out because I didn't, can't remember right away because it was 1971 and I was only 3. Yeah, 1971, I was 3. But that story, because Dad had the book, and everybody in the family read it. That book was part of like the conversation. And it's really funny to think when you're sitting around and then you're thinking about Star Wars and you're thinking about the history of it. And I gotta tell you, if they do it, The Offer is great. Do one about the making of Star Wars. Do it. Look, in fact, that's what Lucasfilm should do. Fuck this shit. All right, the sequel trilogy, Solo, The High Republic. Why don't you do a feature, limited streaming show about the making of Star Wars and how it happened and what happened? You could, I mean, think about, you could, all right, get somebody to play George, Marsha, a young Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, little Carrie Fisher. You get somebody to play Alan Ladd Jr. All these people, Gary Kurtz and all these guys. That would be fabulous. What a great idea. In fact, Miles Teller, because he does kind of look a little bit like Alan Ladd Jr., could play Alan Ladd Jr. Hey, Planet Musk. But when you think about the making of the movie and the pain and suffering that was involved, I mean, George was so consumed and so uptight and so stressed out by it. He had heart trouble. Okay, and I did not know this, but he's diabetic. Did you guys know that? I did. I didn't. Now I do. I did not know that. But it was like something that consumed him. And, he wanted to make Skywalker Ranch and Lucasfilm and all that stuff. And he was consumed though with getting the film done. And I think that's the thing that I really wish they would make a movie like that and have somebody like Miles Teller do it. All right. Have somebody that did The Offer do that movie, do that show. Because first off, a lot of people out there. Oh, I agree. I agree. I mean, and Owen telling Obi-Wan off was a little bit, whoa, dude. But when you sit back and you watch The Offer and you think, you in the first episode, Coppola is sitting there and he's looking through some film and, basically telling Al Ruddy no. You see George walk past in the background, and he's in the background the entire time. That's what I would love to see captured on film, but from the opposite. Because in 19, was it 70? When did they, all right, The Godfather came out in 71. And part two came out in 73. All right. So this was 1969, 1970. Okay. 1969. All right, we'll say, because just to be safe. This was before Star Wars. This is before that. I mean, the thought had actually taken hold enough to where George sat down and wrote it out on a legal pad in a notebook. All right. That is some cool shit. I mean, it just, look, movies like Apocalypse Now, Patton, Godfather, Star Wars, Jaws, the making of Jaws. I mean, look, there's a play in England written and directed and starring Robert Shaw's son, Ian, who looks just like him, called The Shark is Broken. Okay. It's a hit. Okay. You could do a movie about the filming of Jaws and have Ian Shaw play his father. Then you wouldn't have to actually go, but I really think a series of movies about making film in the early and mid 70s, like you could do the making of Rocky, would really tell a story that would absolutely devastate the woke folk. And I'll tell you why. Every one of those guys is a certifiable genius. Okay. Every one of them. When you get Molly Damon discovering that George was building Lucasfilm for Marcia, and that's what he was doing. Okay. I mean, I don't know what she'd say. What are you gonna say when you've got George talking about Leia? What kind of a person is she? Who is she? What kind of a woman is she? And he's married basically to her. I mean, if you ever hear, hey, Matt Piranha, you ever hear Marcia Lucas talk? Or in that book about Howard Kazanjian that I've got, she's a badass. Okay. Star Wars would not be Star Wars without her. And I think that George, in the end, probably knows that. People do mellow with age. Okay. But that is so important. Those are stories to tell. Because it would be inspiring, I think, for people who want to get into the movie business. Frightening for some people. But it would also tell people who maybe are in the business, who have no business being in the business, that maybe they should go find something else to do. Like J.J. Abrams, like Alex Kurtzman, like Rian Johnson. Okay. I mean, that's what they should do. All right. And it is an undeniable story, I think. I would pitch it to Lucasfilm. I would pitch it to Jon Favreau. I would pitch it to Bob Chapek. I think you guys should do this. I think you should get George to consult on it. And I think you guys should do this. Look at how good the offer is. Okay? You could call it, I don't even know what I would call it, The Making of Star Wars, The Offer. It would be, I would have to sit and think about it. But it would be something worthwhile. And it would be something a fan could add to their collection as something, this is how the first movie was made. This is it. This was where it was all born. All right. You could have somebody play, play Spielberg. You could have some huge dude walk in and playing John Milius. And then, of course, Coppola saying, George, why don't you just make a normal movie once? Just do it. starts out, the first thing you see is American Graffiti. That's where you can meet Harrison Ford the first time, right? Because he was in that movie. You know, and I just think it would be so good. It would be so good. And it could be an hour for hour and a half episodes strung out over a few months, like 8 of them. Okay, for 2 months, once a week, building and building and building. And I think it's a good idea. I don't know, just me. But knowing what George went through to put Star Wars together, knowing the fact that they were over budget. In fact, they were actually being told, "All right, you guys quit filming now." So George, at the end, was having the guys, they had to do the cantina scene. So they were pulling out Halloween costumes out of storage at the movie studio and shooting them. Okay, that's what that is. So you see the Wolfman. He probably really wasn't part of George's plan, and he became something of an icon for fans. And when fans didn't get to see him in the redone the special editions, they got mad. Okay, that happens. But it'd be really great to see a movie like that, to understand the history, to understand the thing that George was making was culturally significant. Oh, I think, could you imagine they're going through all these actors and Sylvester Stallone walks in and George is looking at him and because he did interview for Han Solo. You could get Anthony Ippolito to play Pacino, turning him down. No, it sounds too weird. That sounds too weird. I can't do it. You know, be really funny. I mean, they're just okay. It. I think it would be really something to see, and it would be such a great starting block for your collection, your 4K Star Wars episodes 1 through 6 collection. Okay, because the other 3 don't matter. All right, the sequel trilogy is trash, and we all know it. The pain that they went through making those movies was self-inflicted. They had the money. They had everybody alive at one time, and they fucked it up. Yeah, I mean, or the first screening of it where they superimposed World War II fighter scenes and no music. I mean, Spielberg walked out. It's great, George. What the fuck did I just see? Marcia in, the editing suite. Stovepipe. We're talking about making the movie, not hating on the actors, okay? Okay? So why don't you go sit in the corner and think about what you said? All right? That's one. And it would just be, yeah, I mean, Anthony, he was supposed to sound like every British butler you ever saw, and that's exactly what they got, and that was perfect. 7'3" Peter Mayhew walks in. Okay, he's got the job, and he turns around and walks away. That's what happened. Putting the cast together, the idea, Coppola going, "What are you doing?" Spielberg saying, "Oh, this sounds great." George explaining it to Marcia and Marcia running with it. Okay. That's it. That's what you would have. I mean, it would just, because this is important stuff. And people like Molly Damon and all the rest of that shit, that human waste at Star Wars Explained, Making Star Wars, and Hello Greedo, and that weirdo Steele Saunders, they don't care about it. They don't want to know about it. Star Wars for them is a vehicle for their own personal self-aggrandizement. Okay? They don't give a fuck about it. If you love Star Wars, you would not love what they did to it. And they mean Kennedy, Abrams, and Johnson. All right? You would not love that. Okay? You know, it's kind of like when you hear a girl or hear a guy talk about his last girlfriend. Well, she loved me, but she wanted me to change, so I dumped her. Darling, I love you, now change. Oh, she is. I mean, you know, it's one of those things where, why can't she run Lucasfilm? You know, she's too old to do it now, but you know, Howard Kazanjian, but they're all retired, which is too bad because it's like, maybe Rick McCallum could come back in and do it, you know? I mean, he got pissed though. When George decided on, you know, Queen Kathy Karen, McCallum was like, fuck you. And he left. And I don't blame him. All right. Biggest mistake of George's life. Oh, George, don't worry about these characters. You know, I mean, look, again, like I said, the sequel trilogy sucks. And everything that was so stressful and Solo was self-inflicted because Kathy Kennedy doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. Okay? There's a reason why you don't see her on this. You never saw her after the first week on the set of Indy 5. And she was supposed to be Miss Hands-On Producer. I know why. They want her around. Her husband was the one that did all that. I know that. Everybody else knows that. Probably getting phone calls from Spielberg and Lucas. Okay? Who are going to get money and kudos for it. All right? But Lucas, all right, that's it. You're gone. You're a fucking troll. There. Done. All right. Lucas, I don't think, understood at the time what was really going on and what he was really creating. And Star Wars came at the right time with Rocky. The culture of the United States, basically the whole attitude of the Western world was down. I mean, when you've got punk rockers like the Sex Pistols pointing out bullshit, you know, and other ones in the United States doing the same thing and going after the boomers for their bullshit, because they did. You ever want to see Johnny Rotten get grossed out, mention hippies? Okay, just do it. Because there was rot. The economy was shit. We were under an oil embargo because, you know, our government doesn't know how to fucking do anything. And there we were, okay? We were down on ourselves over Vietnam. We were down. Rocky shows up. Yo, Adrian, I want the distance. Okay. Then, Star Wars. A simple story. Yep, you're right. Primeval. A simple story that was part fairy tale, part Western, and part mythology. And people were hooked. And it changed everything. It changed science fiction. It changed fantasy. It brought people a sense of hope, all right? What they needed. Jimmy Carter wasn't going to give you hope. He was basically saying, hey, you know, you're just going to have to suck it up, just like that piece of shit demented jackass does in the White House now, okay? You're going to have to do without, fuck you, no I don't. You get out of the White House, okay? You go away. You stole it, get out of here, all right? But that's, you know, the thing. It changed everything. And we have forgotten about it. And we've allowed these nihilists like Pablo Hidalgo and these creepy, weirdo, sexually obsessed freaks like Claudia Gray and others to bury themselves into the body of the franchise like wood ticks. All right? I mean, can I ask you a question? Y'all know what Claudia Gray looks like, right? Is that me or does she look like Ursula the Sea Witch? She does. She really does. In fact, if they were standing next to each other, I wouldn't be able to tell each other apart. Okay? Vile woman. Weirdo. It's like, and stupid. Mammals can't be asexual, but whatever. But we've allowed nihilism to get into it. And now, we've got black pills wandering around, who they are, saying Star Wars is dead. No, it's not. The Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer came out and it was awesome. Now look, if you don't like it, let me like it and shut the fuck up. Don't mention it, okay? Don't mention it. Why? Because here's the deal. The only reason why they don't like it is because they're not getting everything they want. And they don't even know what they want, okay? They don't even fucking know what they want. They don't know anything about business. They don't know how politics works. Office politics. Corporate politics. They don't know that either. They're not, and fine, that's fine. But when you see people like me and others watching the trailer and getting excited, let us have fun. All right? Let us have our fun and shut the fuck up. Okay? There's a reason why I don't go to those channels. There's a reason why I'm like, no, you can't be on my I'm not gonna let you talk. Why? Because you bring everybody down, okay? You bring everybody down. And what I find fascinating, and I've known this for a long time, ever since, long before I actually even started, long before I worked in DC. Why the hell are people on the right such a bunch of fucking negative nannies? All right? Why? Okay. I look at a glass and I say it's a half glass of water. You've got other people going, well, that glass is half full. Then you got the black pills going, that glass is half empty. And it'll never get filled. It's dead. And it's like, how do you live? The fandom, and I'm on both sides, the woke folk, the Damons and the Wards and the Saunders and the Helagritos and all the rest of that shit are just as bad. All right? They don't look. Again, if you love something, you don't try to change it, okay? You don't insert bullshit. You don't create characters that don't belong in it just for representation. Okay? Star Wars works because of what George Lucas did. He gave you a roadmap. And if you can't follow it, if you gotta go off reservation, make your own goddamn space opera, okay? Keep your nihilistic bullshit out of it. And you black pills, were you ever fans? No, you weren't, okay? You weren't, all right? And we all know that. We know that. And the reason why is this. You can watch, the fact that yeah, and you're right about that. But there was something inherently decent about it, okay? There's something inherently good about it. There's something, when you look at the original trilogy, you realize the person who thought, this is a great idea, I'm gonna run with it, is a good person. When you see The Force Awakens, you see a corporate, soulless, nihilistic dumpster fire. When you see TLJ, you see a great big giant dump on the franchise. Period. Like that. Left-wing propaganda. When you get The Rise of Skywalker, you see a shit show. A shit show. And Solo, I can't even mention. Let's hire the short dwarf with the receding hairline and the large head to play Solo. You know, look, I remember Star Wars, and I remember watching it at the theater, the Hollywood Theater, and seeing Harrison Ford for the first time, okay? That big, tall, lanky, corn-fed white boy, okay? That gorgeous, gorgeous man. And I was like, I was only 9 years old, but I'm like, and other women were like that too. And as the years went on, the reason why he got to be such a big star is because there's a video on YouTube. It's like 50 seconds long, no, 30 seconds long. It's Harrison Ford and Jim Morrison. You see the Doors and a few fans and maybe roadies standing around, and you see a guy walk through the middle of the crowd. And the camera, he looks right at the camera. It's Harrison Ford. I didn't even see it, Jonathan. Well, look, when you're talking to someone like WDW Pro or anybody like that, when obviously they're very far to the right, I'm going to tell you something about people on the right. They're not going to be happy until they get everything they want. People on the hard left are not going to be happy until they get everything they want. All right. Now, are you familiar, Jonathan, with the Elon Musk tweet where he shows the guy standing? You got a pole in the middle. Then you got people to the right, people to the left, and you have a little guy standing a little bit to the left. And the pole starts moving as the people on the left start running. Pretty soon you got Elon Musk, the little guy on the bottom, standing about, halfway between the right wing kook and the pole on the right. People, again, are not going to be happy unless they get everything they want. When you look at, I'll give you an example. Benny Johnson on Instagram and Twitter. He's I think he works for Newsmax. He used to work for Tucker Carlson. He's a former Senate aide and a decent guy. Come here, gotcha. A former Senate aide. And when all this stuff started happening with Star Wars, or with Disney, he went full on rage porn. All right, Chris Rufo works for the Daily, works for City Journal, and I've got a friend who writes for them. But when I looked at his tweets that don't have anything to do with Disney, he's very much a connoisseur of rage porn. That's why he did that. He didn't do it. Look, if whoever gave him those videos had given them to Breitbart, I think they would have done better by that. But, I can't. The dog is going nuts right now. I might not have to leave. Okay. But that's the problem. Okay. All right, Daddy, take it. We can't. When I listen to WDW Pro on Valiant Renegade, the guy has good contacts. However, he's also very much on the hard right. okay, which is fine. But that's going to cloud his judgment when it comes to business, when it comes to looking at financials. Okay, I'm going to tell you something. Ronald Reagan wasn't hard right. He was a liberal, all right? He was a libertarian, okay? All right? I mean, he said the Democrats went so far left, you know, they left the country. I had to leave. That happens all the time, okay? When the Republican Party, the top levels, the rhinos, the Mitch McConnells, Kevin McCarthy's, etc., went after Donald Trump, I was like, I'm done. They went after my congressman. I'm done. Okay. You know, I'm done with them. I'm not, and the reason why is you can sit there and say and all the platitudes about abortion, gun rights, taxes, immigration, but you didn't do a damn thing. You didn't do anything. This guy shows up, former Democrat, tips over your little sandbox, and you're pissed off. Why? Because he's actually doing what he said he was gonna do. And you got, look, these people don't intend, but there are people on the hard right, you know, Hannity, Benny Johnson, and others who just slavishly follow the narrative. Okay, they're given marching orders. This is what the narrative is. Okay, you gotta stop that. Okay, I don't do that anymore. And when I heard Pro talking about it, and I read a lot of his stuff, I'm like, dude, you don't know anything about corporate politics. Okay, you go to Cameron's Patreon and it's completely different. Because you gotta look at the way people are behaving. You gotta look at the subtle nuances. You gotta look at the subtext, okay? Like today, because the stock market went up 900 points, and I thought for sure it would fall with the Fed raising the interest rate. So that was a bad call on me. You know, Disney stock is back up to 116. Went up like 2 something points, which is good. Okay, that's good for the company. In fact, I want their stock to go up because then it gives Chapek more power to do what he needs to do and get rid of these people. Okay, that's what we want. You know, when you've got people who are so dumb, showing up, telling you, well, you know, Peter Rice could take that, and they're talking about him and some other guy, and it's like, why don't they just hire fucking Iger back? Wow. You know? And that's the thing, right? You know, the thing about the storytelling in the original trilogy, should have waited. The original trilogy and the prequels is this. They're not relevant. They're timeless. When you have someone like Molly Damon, Amanda Ward, any of these nasty fucking women sit there and say they need to be relevant, blah, 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 George Lucas is a misogynist, and I'm going, hey, did you ever watch the same movie I watched? Because I don't see any misogyny at all. You got Padme kicking ass Leia, having a bigger kill ratio than Luke or Han. You know, but hey, you know, being a princess is bad. You know, there used to be a day back, do you guys remember that? I can bring on the bacon, fried up in a pan, and then the rest of it, remember that ad? That's what a woman does. That's what a real woman does. We don't need this shit, okay? We don't need this feminist superiority misandrist bullshit in our movies. This is why they don't work. There's no magic in them. There's no humanity in them. There's no hope. What's your name? Ray Skywalker. That's not hope. That's bullshit. That's a big fuck you to everybody. JJ knew it. I mean, he even said, I know I made a bad movie and I know you're not going to like it, and I understand. Okay? There's nothing there. And it's unbelievable, you know, after watching it. And watching those movies and wondering what people saw in them. Because they're bad movies. And then you think, the audience, is the audience that dumbed down? Or are these people so conditioned to look for representation all the time? The magic is gone. Like I said this morning, we stand at a precipice. We've got Obi-Wan and the Mandalorian, and then we've got Rey gathering dust on a peg at Ollie's. That's it. That's what they like. The dumpster fire that's gathering dust on a peg at Ollie's. How did George Lucas make all the money that he made? Merchandise. They gave him the rights to the merchandise and he went, thank you. $10 billion later. You know? Star Wars is about family. It's about love. Every different kind of love. Phileo love. Eros. Agape. Okay? It is about sacrifice. It's about honor. It's mystical. It's mysticism. It's about religion. It's about faith. And not just faith in a supernatural being, but faith in one's friends and one's family and in oneself. Okay? When you make a movie called Star Wars that contains none of that, you got a problem. And the fans are going to notice. And we did. And we didn't like it. Okay? You can't do that. Oh, I think he is. I think he is. And he should. I mean, look, if you get in the market, you're going to be in there for the long haul. Okay? And just hope the money's there when you need it. All right? Because, I mean, that's how you do it. These day traders that go in, you know, buy and sell every day, I you know, make millions, fine. But why? You know? But anyway, I want to talk, you know, when George made Star Wars, there was something ignited in the culture and in the kids. It wasn't just, I want to go play pretend and I want to be Leia. It was deeper than that. It inspired us, which art should do. Well, Reedy Creek and Disney are two different entities. Okay, you gotta look at it that way. It's not the same thing. And I'm very sure that Disney's gonna come out of that with a deal. I don't think DeSantis is the doors. Let's put it this way: the doors were never shut. Okay, you're DeSantis, blah blah blah, and whatever. Again, the Reedy Creek thing is not Disney. Okay, it's not. All right, it's a completely separate entity. It is got Disney and you got Reedy Creek. Okay, they will figure it out. Trust me on that one. They're not going to leave Florida unless, you know, Chapek finds $200 billion in sofa cushions. They're not going to leave Florida. There are back channels probably open between him and DeSantis. So my thing is, you know, I said this to Valiant. We get fed a lot of I didn't say this to Valiant, but I'm gonna say this now. We get fed a lot of really bad information from both sides. Okay? It doesn't help it doesn't help that we've got, snipers from the right yelling and screaming. And it doesn't help that we've got snipers from the left yelling and screaming. It's not good for business. I mean, and that's why Chapek said he wanted to moderate Disney's stance. Okay, there's no problem with that. And I'll tell you something else. Bob Iger probably was like, that's probably a good idea. Okay? Get those share prices back up. Do what we're supposed to do and make money for the investors. So it is what time is it? It's 6. Okay. I gotta go pretty soon. But it is very, very interesting to me watching this and looking at where we are and where we started and seeing everything sort of happening. Right now we're in chaos. It's kind of like the 70s all over again, only a little more intense. Okay? Somewhere, someplace, maybe it's Lucasfilm, maybe it's Jon Favreau, they're coming up with a solution to the problem. Mandalorian is not nihilistic. Boba Fett wasn't nihilistic. There is good stuff here. Obi-Wan won't be nihilistic. All right? It's going to be kind of like Obi-Wan's Empire Strikes Back, which was the best movie in the whole thing. Anyway, I got to go, but I just wanted to remind you guys of what it took to make Star Wars happen and what it made you feel like, what it meant to you when you walked out of the theater, what it meant to you when you saw the opening crawl and the ships literally looking like they were coming over your head. What did it change? These are the things that are important. Okay? Steph, signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.